Welcome back to another video, guys. In today's talk, I'm going to be discussing what a stress test is, otherwise known as a shit test, and why women do it to men. Okay, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video so I can explain absolutely everything to you. Let's start off by establishing what a stress test is. That's what I'm going to refer to it as in this video, but it's otherwise known as a shit test. So a stress test is basically when a woman will create some degree of stress or disturbance within the dynamical relationship to test a man. Now, we'll dive into in a little bit exactly what she's testing, but just for the meantime, we'll establish exactly what the stress test is. So a stress test or a shit test can come in multiple different forms, right? It could literally be her asking you a question, which, is a hard question to answer. It could come in the form of her starting an argument. It could come in the form of her being inconsistent and flaky with you in terms of like responses, or not showing up to a date, or just being disrespectful in some way. It's just her creating some form of disturbance, some form of stress, some form of like conflict, on a like micro level. And a lot of the time, these stress tests are actually unconscious. She doesn't even know that she's doing this intentionally, but the driving force behind it is actually her fulfilling a human need. She needs to know a specific thing, and she needs to have this very specific human need met, which I'll talk about in a little bit. A lot of the time it can be conscious, but in a lot of cases it's actually unconscious as well. So when a woman first meets a man, she doesn't know who he is, okay? And vice versa, but for the context of this video, we're going to approach it like this. When a woman first meets a man, she doesn't know who he is. In a lot of cases, men will build these facades, right? They will pretend to be men that they aren't. They will pretend to embody traits and characteristics and just be a version of themselves, which they genuinely are not. And most women have had experience with a man who has portrayed himself to be something, and then she realized later down the track that he is nothing like how he portrayed himself to be. And so as a mechanism of protection against re-experiencing her negative experience in the past, which was, realizing that there was a man who portrayed himself to be something, and then later she found out he wasn't. In order to protect herself from experiencing that again, she does these things called stress tests. Okay, now a stress test, as I said, it could be multiple different things: flakiness, like literal intentional conflict, questions, all these sorts of things are to reveal the man's character. That's what she wants. At the core, she just wants to know that he is exactly who he says he is. That's why she's doing this stuff. She's not doing it because she just wants to be a fucking bitch and cause arguments, right? Like, fuck, maybe there are some women who want that, right? But for the vast majority, women are creating these stress tests. Women are intentionally evoking disturbance within the dynamical relationship because they want to know that the man is who he says he is. And on a deeper level than that, she wants that, she needs that because she needs to fulfill the core feminine need, which is safety. If a woman doesn't feel like she knows her man completely, or she feels like there's a facade there, or she doesn't know how he'll respond in certain situations, there is a lack of safety. And because that is a core feminine need, and if that's left unfulfilled, she's just gonna feel unsafe within the relationship. And so she's going to go and try and fulfill this human need for herself, whether it be a conscious process or unconscious process. I can almost guarantee you there are women watching this video right now, listening to this podcast, that have done things like this in the past, and they didn't even realize they were doing it for this specific reason. They were just like, oh yeah, I just want to see who he is. I just want to know who he is. But on a deeper level, they wanted to fulfill the core feminine need of safety. And in order for a woman to feel safe, she needs to know who her man is. And in order for her to know who her man is, she needs to put him through tests, okay? Like shit tests or stress tests, or these little like environments, these little like situations which are cultivated, right? They are, obviously it's not the real thing. Obviously it might not be a real fight, or it might not be a real situation which is worth stressing over, but it is just a version that she can see his character. Okay? Because, as I said before, so many men have facades, they have fronts, they are wearing these big masks because men aren't stupid, women aren't stupid, but men know, especially if a man's been dating for a while, men know what women want. And in a lot of cases, men also know that they don't embody the traits and characteristics that the women want. And so they will put a facade up, they will have this mask up, and they'll portray themselves to be what they know women want. But then the mask slips eventually, right? But men will use this initial mask, men will use this initial facade to, in most cases, sleep with women. And then once they got that, they're like, oh, who gives a fuck, right? And this is why it's important for women to do these stress tests, because they need to know that the man they're seeing is the fucking man he's portraying himself to be. Now, if you are a man listening to this, I just want you to realize that you have already experienced a stress test in your life. You can honestly be 17 years old and have had a girlfriend in high school, and I can almost guarantee you she's stress tested you to one degree or another. Obviously, the context and the type of stress tests will change over time, because what a woman needs in order to fulfill her core feminine need of safety is going to shift. A chick in high school dating some high school boy, her core feminine need of safety might just be like, is he texting other girls on Snapchat, right? That might be the thing. But then as we progress and we get older, the requirements in order for a woman to feel safe come into different things, right? You get a little bit older and it might be like, well, is he able to defend me against other men? And then it's like, well, is he able to provide for me financially? And if shit hits the fan financially, is he, able to get us out of that mud? Boom, boom, boom. It progresses, it changes. But just generally speaking, these tests, these stress tests, they're there, and women do them consciously or unconsciously, not because she just wants to create chaos in the relationship, but because she's actually not feeling safe within the relationship to one degree or another. And so she needs to fulfill that human need of safety through the revealing of your character in moments in which are stressful. Okay? A woman doesn't know who you are until she sees how you operate in certain situations. You can say all you want. Oh yeah, I'll protect you if anyone, if anything goes down, any other guy tries to do anything, I'll protect you. You can say that, but deep down she's like, I don't know if that's fucking true until it happens. And until it actually happens, or until there's a situation where, it at least replicates that environment to one degree or another, she can believe you on like a mental level, on like a surface level, but in the core of her being, she needs to know it through direct experience. And so these stress tests, these shit tests, they are quite literally her cultivating these direct experiences. And she's revealing your character one test at a time. And so if you're a man and your woman is putting you through these stress tests, these shit tests, I just think it's important to not react emotionally. If she's doing these things and, you're like, oh my God, why the fuck is she always causing chaos, blah, blah, blah. Don't react like that. It's easy to react like that. And I am no fucking, I'm not perfect in this sense. I've absolutely reacted like that in the past with past women I've dated, because I didn't understand why they were doing it. I didn't understand the underlying driving force, but now I do, and I can see, okay, yes, of course she's doing that. She wants to know who I am. She wants to reveal my character. And so then it's on me to let her know through direct experience of like, hey, I am who I say I am. This isn't a facade. This isn't a front. I am genuinely a man of integrity. If I say I am this way, I am that way. There's no mask. There's no facade. This is me. And when you can reassure a woman that you are who you say you are, and you can fulfill that core feminine need, she is going to feel so safe in the relationship. She's going to literally flourish. There is a good little understanding I came to a while back, and that is, you can have the same woman, this is probably a good topic for a whole nother video, but you could have the same woman in two different relationships, and she will show up as a whole different version of herself. And it largely depends on how many of her human needs and core feminine needs and all these things are being met. If you have a woman who has no degree of safety within a relationship and she can't trust her man, she doesn't feel safe with her man, boom, 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 you're going to get a woman who is in her masculine, is constantly stress testing a man because she wants to, you know, sink into that state of safety and femininity. She's going to constantly be on edge, blah, blah, blah. She's going to be like this woman who, in comparison to who she would be with a man who provides that safety, who fulfills all those human needs, who gives her everything she needs to literally flourish. Same woman, two completely different versions of her, based solely on how the man is showing up in the relationship. So men, if your woman is, in your eyes, this hard, masculine, annoying, nagging bitch, it's more your fault than you would probably like to admit. And I'm not dismissing the woman's responsibility in this, you know, dynamic. She definitely plays a massive part. But in a lot of cases, it's largely because the man isn't meeting certain feminine needs and he doesn't understand certain concepts and understand at the deeper level why she's doing these things. Human nature in general, but like women, usually surface level interpretation is not what it is. You need to be able to see beyond the surface level. You need to be able to read between the lines, and you need to literally like understand human nature, yes, but also feminine nature. It is like a whole topic that you should study and you should learn about. Not because, you know, you want to manipulate women or whatever. Sometimes people think, oh, you know, this guy knows about feminine nature. It's because he wants to. No, it's because you want to be able to interact with a woman and create a harmonious dynamic between you two. If you don't understand certain feminine nature, then you can't do that. And vice versa for women. Like, women should learn about masculine nature as well and learn how to treat a man and how respect is the life force of a man and all these things. Like, there are so many videos I could make and I will make. So if you want to see more stuff like that, feel free to subscribe right now. Because all these videos, I love talking about this sort of stuff. And I think it brings so much clarity and so much personal power to one's life to be able to create a harmonious dynamic between a man and a woman. So guys, I hope you got a ton of value from this video. I hope you genuinely apply what you learn. And if you're in a relationship, I just want you to take it on board. Like, honestly, don't just listen to this video, then turn it off and never do anything about it. No, I literally want you to listen to this video, watch it again if you need to, take notes, be like, oh, okay, she's doing this, and boom, boom, boom. Like, genuinely, like, analyze what you have learned from this video and then apply it to your life. Because knowledge alone is not power. Applied knowledge is power. And that's what I want from you guys. That's why I make these videos. I don't just make them to entertain you. I don't just make them to waste your fucking time. I make them to be able to improve your life. Genuinely. Like, I have these insights. I have these realizations. I want to share them with you guys. And I want to share them because I know how much it's improved my life, and I want you guys to have that same exact experience. So guys, if you found value from this video, give it a like, comment below what you think, share it with your friends. And yeah, I will see you on the next one. If you want to see more stuff like this, feel free to subscribe. Thank you.